There you go.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Moonshiners Racing, presented by Depot Street Sports. I'm your host, Michael Rizzo. I'm joined with Zachary Kendall tonight. Uh, Bunny will be on later, and then we think Aiden might show up, but he might not because there was a side bet under the table about if he finished last in our whole bracket March Madness thing, he had to apologize to a certain somebody, that being his favorite NASCAR media person, but he isn't on. But anyway, first off, I want to thank. I hope all the listeners and live watchers had a happy Easter. Hope the weekend was great. But Zachary, how was your weekend?
It's pretty boring, because again, like after football season ends, I tend to look forward to obviously NASCAR on every weekend. We do get one weekend off of it, so at least like in terms of like the drivers and the team's perspective, I think that's obviously nice for them. And I did mention like last week, I think, or not last, last week, how I wish that they had another off weekend too. But just for me, it is very boring. So I just had a lot of work I had to get done. Thankfully, did and well, now this upcoming weekend's very busy. You got another Bristol and you got the Masters. So really looking forward to all the sports events happening this weekend.
Oh yeah, there's a whole lot going on this weekend. You got the Masters, you got Bristol. NCAA is done. Now I think you're preparing for the draft the weekend after. A lot of stuff going on in the sports world. But let's talk about what happened last weekend in the NASCAR. Let's start off with the O'Reilly Series. Corey Day dominates the first two stages, wins both of them, and just like the last 2 weeks prior, the driver who swept the first two stages has an issue on pit road or strategy, and they do not win the race. Opens the door for William Sawalich to get his first win in the O'Reilly Series. He had a great day. He was definitely one of the fastest cars. He was consistently in the top five majority of the day. When Corey Day had his issues, he pounced on him. His teammate as well was also very good in the 19 there, but he had some issues as well did Jesse Love. They had issues late. Opened the door for William Sawalich, and once he was able to hold the lead, he just had to make sure his other teammate, Brandon Jones, did not catch up and get him. He didn't, and he got the win. Zachary, what's your thoughts on that O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race?
Yeah. So this is the second time now that O'Reilly has visited the Rock, and the first one was obviously monumental because it was the first time that there was actual racing at the Rock since like 2003, I think, is when it was the last time they raced there. So been a long time, and obviously that one was going to be more, I feel like drawn out, and it was like more people were going to be watching that as opposed to the second time. But William Sawalich, I remember him obviously in his ARCA days. He was battling like when he was battling Connor Zilic for multiple wins and multiple trophies. He dominated that series. He comes over to the Xfinity side in JGR. Again, I've mentioned it in previously, but I thought that JGR's Xfinity program had taken a slight step back from what it was like when Ty Gibbs was driving the car, especially when he won all those races. But they're still a very capable, obviously, race team. And yeah, I mean, first off, hats to Corey Day. He is definitely, showing his talent really well. And he did rub people from the wrong way those first couple of weeks getting into drivers and whatnot. But, I feel like I think he's finished in the top 10 every single race this year still, no matter what. So, yeah, I thought it was going to be his day there for a quick second. But yeah, you said it. Like when a driver wins the first two stages, they don't end up closing the whole thing, get max points, and that's exactly what happened in this one as well. Now, I don't want to take anything away from Williams to Wallace, but obviously, what I would have hoped happened is that the tires would have fallen off a little better, in my opinion, so that we could have seen him, and not just him, but the other drivers be able to manage their tires better. Instead, like they were all just like kind of going like the same amount of speed and whatnot. When that happens, it's really hard to track down any guys in front of you. I mean, sure, it can happen if you're like on a different strategy and you get different tires and whatnot and all that. But hey, William Sawalich, first win of the year, obviously different points format. He's not in the playoffs locked in with this win because the win in doesn't matter anymore. But wins still do matter a lot, and it's his first career win. I thought it was going to be Corey Day to get his first win. Ended up being William Sawalich. And all around, you just can't complain. I'm just glad that, racing is back at the Rock.
Yeah, I'm gonna echo those opinions you had there. I'm glad racing is back at the Rock. It's a historic track. A lot of good races there in the past. For me, and I kind of said this before we even hit record here. This track is going to be really good in like 3 to 5 years because that at that point the track's going to age. The natural bumps and character that the track already has is even going to get more pronounced. It's going to be better. The tire wear is going to add because it is a brand new track for the most part. Second year of NASCAR going back to it, but yeah, it just needs to age better, and I think it'll race better. I think the first year we were there last year, it was different, so everyone liked it. But we came back the second year. I'm gonna be honest, it was kind of a snoozer for both the trucks and O'Reilly. It was kind of like just a freight train. It was just a single line around the track. There was not much passing. It was hard to pass. I can only imagine how bad it would have been if the Cup cars were on track for this. It just needs to age, and it's going to get better. It's going to open up multiple lanes. You saw drivers try to do multiple lanes, but it just didn't work out as well as other tracks do. But again, once this track ages, it's going to race a whole lot better. Going back to William Sawatch getting that win there, he's had speed, but he just has had a lot of issues. He's only 19 years old. Was able actually turned 20 recently, and I mean it's his first win. I mean, JGR has kind of struggled in O'Reilly Xfinity the last couple of years. So to see them finally get back in victory lane with one of their, O'Reilly Auto Parts regulars and one of their younger guys, it's good to see. And he brings a lot of backing behind him with his sponsor, Sound Gear. And it's good to see a new sponsor getting back and getting the victory lane for the first time, and for Williams to watch. So let's move on to the topic I'm sure everyone wants us to talk about, and that is Cletus McFarland. He was in this race. If you did not know, I'm sure I don't know how you would know. He's obviously a big YouTuber. He's big on social media. He puts that all out there. Driving the 33 for RCR, and he finished 34th and was 6 laps down, caused multiple incidents by himself. He didn't get involved in anything. He had multiple spins, avoided some accidents here or there, but was able to finish the race and not wreck out like he did in the truck series. Because of the way he finished, because of the way he raced, NASCAR denied him entry to the Talladega race in 2 weeks. Not surprised by this one. I think if he finished in the top 20, top 25, didn't have any of those little incidents, I think he would have been approved. But he was denied access into that race, and he will likely come back for a different race to continuously getting better. Zachary, thoughts on Cletus McFarland in his race at Rockingham, and then in the end getting denied?
Yeah. So, when he initially, signed up to run the 33 for RCR in the O'Reilly series, he had a lot of pushback. There was a lot of criticism going his way and NASCAR's way for kind of rushing up the ranks. So you shall say, Cletus, obviously everyone knows the story about him. He's a YouTuber. Was a big NASCAR fan. He wanted to learn how to drive these cars and no matter what, but excuse me. He's he is taking it seriously. I do want to say that he isn't coming in here and being like, I'm just going to run out there and if I mess someone's race up, then so be it. No, that's not the case at all. He is wanting to do a good job. It's just that he is fairly green, obviously, in all these series. Like the truck series, he was green at Daytona, and obviously you saw what happened there. He wrecked out really early on, made a big fool of himself, kind of, instead of just taking it easy. I'm not surprised that they ended up denying him his entry at Talladega because, again, he didn't run particularly well here, and this is obviously a way shorter track. And I feel like these are the type of tracks that he needs to be accustomed to before he even steps on the big banks that is Dega. And if RCR is known to bringing obviously good equipment there. I mean, he's not in Austin Hill. He ain't going to be in Austin Hill at one of those tracks, but they are known to bring good equipment there. So you have to imagine if he's in the pack, you really don't want him to be in the middle, not knowing what he's doing, and then he causes a big accident and something like that. So I wasn't surprised that he got denied. And obviously, I don't think he's all that bummed about it. I don't think so. He's going to find himself in some different races here and there. And as he should, it's all about gaining more experience, no matter where it's at, I always said that if you gain more experience, you're going to be better off for it. So, just take his time with it, and run some more truck races. Obviously, run more ARCA races, and then you can go up to Xfinity, or not Xfinity, O'Reilly, because he's going to have the backing for it, because he is a big personality, and sponsors do want to sponsor that. For as much as people don't like that type of stuff, he does move you know viewership. He does move it a little bit, at least. So yeah, I mean, it was a rough day at Rockingham, but he got out of the car after that, and he was just happy that he didn't mess anyone's race up, and obviously finished the race, even if he was 6 laps down. He's a good guy, and he's, again, fairly green to NASCAR. So it was all just going to be a process, and that's what you're seeing right here with him denying his entry, and he just needs to go out there and learn.
Yeah, he just needs lap under his belt, and I think he'll finally get to where he wants to get, and that's racing at Daytona. But we saw earlier in the weekend he raced with the I'm blanking on the name. How am I? Arca. He raced with Arca. He finished sixth place, which is a lot better than what he normally does. And he was up there in the front. When we saw him last year at Bristol, a track that is very hard to drive at, he was multiple laps down. He was a moving chicane at Bristol when he was with Arca. He goes to Rockingham, which is, some may say is a little bit harder, just because of the way that the track is, the way you have to take care of your tires, the way you're going to have to run the track, the lines, the grooves. And he was on the same straightaway as the leader. He finished sixth. He was able to see the leader from where he was at. He's slowly but surely getting better. Now, I think he's got to, if he wants to do what he wants to do, and that's going to Daytona, race at 500 like he says he wants to, he needs to actually put in the work on it. He does a lot. He does a lot of racing. He's drag racing. He does all his stuff at the Freedom 500, the Freedom Factory, his track that he owns. There's plenty of stuff he does, but I feel like if he really focused in on his racing craft in NASCAR, I think he could actually get in and do it, and I think he could be somewhat decent. Now, I'm not gonna say he's gonna be good, but I think he's gonna be decent, and it'd be awesome for NASCAR because he comes with all the YouTube followers and subscribers he has. He has a lot of people that follow him on other accounts. He has a lot of sponsorships behind him, different brands. Just there's a lot of people behind him and that watch him consistently that I think NASCAR, I wouldn't say help him out per se, but show him the way so that he could get to where he should go, and then he could help NASCAR. like him being good helps NASCAR, and not the other way around. So I just hope this gets figured out for him. I hope he continues to learn. I'm sure he'll be back in the O'Reilly car, like at a Kansas, a mile and a half. Keep trying to be approved for Talladega or Daytona. In this case, the later Daytona race. But we'll see what happens for him the rest of the season. Let's move on to the trucks. It was the Corey and Corey show this weekend. Corey Day wins the O'Reilly Auto Parts race, and Corey Heim yet again wins a truck race. It's Heim time. Guys, he's moved up to 5th all time in the truck series wins. I mean, if you look at it, he's got, 25 wins now? He can move to 3rd all time. If he gets 4 more wins, he could be 3rd all time in truck series wins. That is just crazy to think. He's likely going to run, 10 or so more races? You think he could get 4 out of 10? I mean, he won 12 of 25 last year. I think he could do 4 of 10 if he does run 10 races the rest of the year. He's also first in the point standings. First in the point standings, and he's only run 3 of 5 races. So just one heck of a driver. We all know where he should be racing, and that's on Sundays. He'll likely be there next year. But, Zachary, thoughts on Corey Heim?
I mean, what's more there is to say about him? I mean, every single time we're covering a truck race, it seems like he's always, if he's in it, he's usually the winner, and we're usually talking about him. I mean, that's how good he is in this series. Yeah, you said it. He has 25 career wins in the trucks alone, and he's only been doing this for 4 years, I think. So that's crazy, the amount of numbers that he's put up. Obviously, he won over half the races last year, and obviously he's not running full-time this year because of, sponsorship. Everyone's favorite word to bring up now is sponsorship. The reason why he's not running the full-time trucks is because of that. But, it is crazy to see that he is in a part-time schedule, and he's, technically he has the points lead in the series because that's how good he is at running these races. I think the only race he didn't win at was Atlanta, and he came very close. He was like in the top 10 that day too. So the circumstances kind of didn't go his way there. But Corey Heim. Yeah, we all know where he belongs. I mean, I'm not saying that this truck success is going to translate to Cup success right away, but he is a premier talent, and he deserves to be at least racing a lot more in the O'Reilly Series, if not the Cup Series. So, I mean, he just continues to just absolutely kill it. But I will say again, I keep saying it, no matter whenever the trucks are on, Fox has these broadcasters, bro. Jamie Little is not a broadcaster. That call to end of the race where Honeycutt's like riding him down, and they're like side by side on the last lap of the race, and her energy, her voice, her pitch is not there. Doesn't seem like she's really carrying all that much, and then he just comes across the line, and she says that he wins, and it's just the presentation for the trucks obviously has been messed up for some time now. But that, again, that's besides the point. Corey Heim, again, elite talent, and making a name for himself in the truck series. He made a name for himself last year, obviously, with the amount of wins he's doing. He's making a name for himself this year too, because he's now got people that are backing his way. They're saying he deserves to be in the playoffs, even though he's not a full-time driver in that series.
Yeah. I mean, Corey Heim, he's a wheel man, and like I said earlier, like you said, he's going to be racing on Sundays. It's just a matter of time. He doesn't have sponsorship behind him, really. I mean, 2311 is helping a good bit with him. I'm sure he'll be in that 35 Toyota next year. It just sucks that a driver of his caliber cannot find sponsorship to get him full time in whatever series there is. I mean, he should be on Sundays. We all know it. And I do have a follow up question on Corey Heim and just the talent that he is. Do you think that if next year he's a rookie, he's full time, he drives that 35 Toyota for 2311, do you think he wins a race his rookie season? I know it's kind of a hot take if you say he does, because not many rookies at this point they win in their first year. We're seeing Connor Zilic, who we all said last year is arguably the best NASCAR prospect that has gone through the lower series besides Jeff Gordon. Do you think Connor Zilic is struggling right now? He hasn't. Maybe that's part Trackhouse. Maybe that's just how Chevrolet has been. Besides Hendrick, there's a lot of other varying factors here. But do you think if Corey Heim gets in that 35, whatever crew chief they put in there, whatever team they build around him, let's say it's going to be a little bit better, do you think he gets a win with 2311 next year if he's in that car?
That's a good question. I think it's good that he's being backed by Toyota, because I think like Toyota's right now the strongest manufacturer, top to bottom, at least like at JGR and 2311, which is where he'd be at. Obviously, that helps him quite a bit. But I'm gonna say no. I don't think he can win a race his rookie year. The only races I feel like he could be contending at is the super speedways. Because you saw it at Atlanta earlier this year how Tyler Reddick and Bubba Wallace were obviously up there at the front helping each other out. Now, with that being said, obviously he gives them a higher floor and a higher ceiling at the same time than Riley Herbst. He just doesn't bring the sponsorship. But, I don't even know how many top 20s Riley Herbst has in that 35. It's like 4. I feel like within the first 2 months he can tie that. That's how good that Corey Heim is, at least in terms of, I feel like he can adapt really well to the team. The reason why I don't see him going to be able to win like in his rookie year is because the Cup Series is obviously not the trucks, and it's obviously not the O'Reilly Series. There is obviously a big difference. You're seeing that now with Connor Zilic. Now he's been struggling a little bit, maybe adapting to this car, and Connor Zilic is one heck of a talent. So I don't see him winning his rookie year, but from where that 35 is at currently, I mean, they just got to get it out of the basement dweller. And with him getting put in there, no matter what crew chief they do put him in there, it's just about trying to steer that ship correctly in that car. And I feel like obviously if you put him in there, he's the first big step towards doing so. Because again, this guy deserves to be at the Cup level, or at least at the O'Reilly level, just competing against some of NASCAR's best. And not just the truck series, because obviously he's already graduated past that, but he's going back, to to kick everybody's butt one more time whenever he is available to race. And, I think he's got like 10 more, like he has like 10 races this year or something like that left or whatever. He signed up for 10 races. He's won 3 of them, 2 of them, something like that. So he's obviously way past, skill level wise than trucks, but, for the Cup Series side of things, again, he can give them a very nice, floor and a higher ceiling. And just like that first year for 2011, I look at if they put him in that 35, I look at it like 2011 first year was. He was kind of struggling a little bit for 2011 that first year with Bubba Wallace. Obviously, he won at Talladega. So again, the races I think he can contend at is the races that Bubba Wallace obviously won at Talladega that first year for 2011. But all in all, he's got a good path forward for him. Just that he's got to keep his head down. And I know it is a struggle. I know it's obviously really tough to see a guy like him be stuck because he basically has no support behind him. But he does have a lot of support still behind him. Toyota believes in him 100%. I don't think they're going to let him go to Ford or Chevrolet, obviously, because he's just one heck of a talent, and they know that.
Yeah, I mean, I know I proposed the question of do you think he could win or not? I think, I mean, I think he can. I really do. I mean, he finished 6th at Bristol last year with all those tire issues. He was able to keep the car under him. He raced it clean, finished 6th, was up there in the top 5, fell back late, but I think he could do it. And we've heard people say that the truck drives more similar than to the Cup car rather than the O'Reilly car. So not trying to say he's better than Connor Zilich or all this and that, but just what we've seen out of him, how the similarities in just the truck over the Cup car, and then I think he's in a better situation with 2311. Even if, well, okay, I'm all saying this is if he gets that 35 car, like everyone thinks he's going to get, but if he does get that car, I think he's head and shoulders above what Riley Herbst is currently doing in there. And I'm a 2311 fan, and I root for all the 2311 drivers, but I mean, I call a spade, and Riley Herbst is not good. He's only in that Toyota. He's only in that seat because he brings in all the Terrible's gas stations, his father's gas stations. That is the name. It's not a terrible gas station, not a joke. Yeah, he brings in all that money with Monster into the seat and help pay for the charter. So it's just, I don't know. I hope Corey Heim gets that seat next year because I really think he could do some damage. And when he gets back in the Cup car later this year, he's probably got, I think they said like 10 races. He kind of backloaded the races, so he hasn't been in a Cup race since Daytona. He won't be back until, if I remember correctly, Kansas in a couple weeks. So we'll see him a lot later this year in the Cup Series. If he just progresses, gets better, I really do think he could, find himself in victory lane. And as for, because I brought up Connor Zilich, I mean, I think just situationally, Trackhouse is not where 2311 is right now. And I think if roles were reversed, I think Connor Zilich could find himself in victory lane. But right now, the way that Trackhouse is, they're down in the dumps. Their highest driver in points is SVG, and I think SVG is getting a lot better. Don't get me wrong, but when your flagship driver Ross Chastain isn't doing good, and he's 20th in points, it's gonna be tough. Anyway, let's move on to news around the garage. NASCAR Thunder will be back for 2027. You don't remember what NASCAR Thunder is? They had it a couple years ago. It is preseason NASCAR. Yep. NASCAR will test out a new super speedway package for all super speedway tracks, Daytona, Talladega, Atlanta, to help avoid the fuel-saving issues that they have seen the last couple of years. I'm excited about this. Zachary, what's your thoughts on this?
So, yeah, I mean, one of the best things, at least when I was growing up, at least when, before the whole NASCAR season began, a part of Speed Weeks in total was not just like obviously the Clash and all the duels and whatnot, and it was just leading up to the 500, but it was also this preseason testing and preseason Thunder. And, I mean, sure, sometimes they made them look like fools because sometimes they used to wreck these cars. And I remember like in 2013, I think, with the Gen 6, how Dale Jr. turned Marcus Ambrose and caused a big accident. And yeah, that doesn't look good, obviously, because they're just out there testing. But I think it's a good decision to bring this back, especially if they're going to test like a new like package and whatnot. And they're going to obviously, again, this goes along with that. They said they're going to shorten the stages starting at Talladega. At least I feel like they're going to tweak those at Daytona too. Obviously, you figure going forward they're going to tweak those stage lengths to make sure that these guys aren't fuel saving like they have been in the past. I'm not saying that that's going to completely solve the racing that the next gen has on these tracks. I don't think it does completely. Obviously, it does suck to see that they don't go like full throttle. So I feel like at least that part might get fixed a little bit. But you know, preseason Thunder being back, that is the time that you are allotted to test things, and I hope that they do this over multiple days, and hope this isn't just a one-day thing. Especially since I feel like you can bring the lower series there too and test some things out as too. So, you know, the reason why testing became allowed in NASCAR from the very beginning was because obviously they wanted to test some things out. You know, when Goodyear first got into the sport to test those things. You know, we should all the time we should be testing stuff, and you know, unfortunately, you know, with the cost saving is what they're trying to say, that went away. Basically, there's basically no testing done basically at all now in today's NASCAR, and I feel like that sucks. You know, and you know, I think that you know if there's one package that desperately needs to be tweaked on, it is the super speedways, because again, it is not a product that is worth watching currently. I will watch it no matter what because I am a very big NASCAR fan, but I'm just saying that it does suck that the way the racing has been and the super speedways in the past is just what we see now is just a bunch of gridlock, and that desperately needs to be changed.
Yeah, I'm glad it's back. I mean, for me, this shows NASCAR is trying to do something. They know there's the issue. It's no more that brush it under the rug like, oh, we think the racing is great. It's no more of that BS. They are admitting there's an issue here. That's why we're doing the NASCAR Thunder preseason NASCAR. We got to fix this, and I'm glad they admitted to it. They're bringing this back. They're trying to fix the stages like Zachary said at Talladega in 2 weeks. I think this is great because the way the car is, there's just so much drag in the car to avoid having to put a restrictor plate on these engines, because the OEMs don't want to put a restrictor plate on the engines because it's obviously restricting the engine. They'd rather have just a stock engine for all the tracks, all the packages. Well, what do you have to do in order if you want to restrict the car without putting a restrictor plate in it? You put a lot of drag in it, so it's really slow, and it just sucks for racing. It just really does, because if you try getting out in front, it just sucks. As dangerous as that some of the drivers said, I put quotes in it. I mean, of course, racing is dangerous, but I feel like some of the racing we're doing now is even more dangerous. But as dangerous as some drivers said the Gen 6 form of super speedway racing was, I thought that was the best we've had in a while. I that could be a hot take. I'm sure, early 2000s, Gen 4 is what a lot of us would like to see, but I don't know if we're ever going to see that again. I think if we could just push it back to Gen 6. Now, I don't want to see like a 10-inch spoiler on the back of the thing like we did in Gen 6. That was ugly. I didn't want to see that, Zach. I'm sure you agree with me there. They looked horrendous, the cars did. I don't know. Hopefully they find out something, put more horsepower in these cars, take away the drag. They got to do something. I'm sure, like you said, if this is a multiple day kind of test, then I think they're going to try out a lot of stuff. They really would. But if they just have like one thing in mind and then do one day of testing and it doesn't work, what are you going to do? So I'm really hoping that it's multiple days. It'll be a throwback, because I remember, oh man, was it like 2012 they did this and it was awesome. I think in 2013, obviously with the new Gen 6 car, when that came out, they did a lot of NASCAR Thunder, if you will. And it happened when everybody was moving rides, just like how we're probably going to see this year. So it's going to be really cool. It's going to be really fun. And I'm going to watch all of it if I can. But yeah, that's NASCAR Thunder. Next rumor, topic we have here is a rumor, and that is Alex Bowman is rumored to miss yet another 3 races with a possible return to the All-Star race. Man, this sucks. Zachary, thoughts on this one? I know your brother's a huge Bowman fan, and these are rumors. I've only seen a couple people talk about it, none of the trusted sources yet, if you will. But hey, if we're breaking news and we're breaking news, but I'd hate to break news on it being Alex Bowman out for a longer time.
Yeah. When he first got diagnosed, which is obviously back around the Phoenix race weekend, um, I wasn't totally sure what vertigo was, and I looked it up a little bit, obviously, and and then people have talked about it. Like it can take a couple days, it could take a couple weeks, it could take several weeks, it could take several months. And what you hope it wouldn't happen is that it would take several months for obviously for this to get sorted out. And I'm not saying that he's going to go months on in without actually hearing anything about him, and then he might get back in a race car. I'm just saying that with him potentially missing another 3 race weekends, it does beg to wonder whether he can get back in the car, honestly, this year. And the longer it goes, again, you question whether or not he can. I obviously I'm not going to question whether he loves racing, obviously, because again he does this for a living and he's been doing this for a very long time. So obviously he does love racing, but obviously his health matters a lot more than a race car does. Um, it is an unfortunate situation for obviously everyone involved, but especially him, considering that we all know, and I don't want to speculate on his future, but we all knew coming into the year he was one of the drivers that needed to perform really well, and he's obviously not been in the car to do that. And if he, it would be a different story if he was just obviously out there running around 30th potentially in a Hendrick Motorsports car, but the fact of the matter is he isn't out there. And, again, we've seen with drivers, if they get injured multiple times, which is what he has done, he got a concussion at Texas. He broke his back in a sprint car crash. Now this, I mean, it just builds and builds and builds. And eventually, you got to question whether or not it's better if he just steps away or not. I'm not saying he should retire. I'm not saying he should do any of that. I'm just saying that hopefully he gets back to 100%. But if these rumors are true, he's missing another 3 weeks. Obviously, the racing world doesn't stop. If you get hurt or out of the car, it just keeps going. And, I wish him all the best and hopefully he gets back soon.
Yeah, I hope he comes back soon. I mean, I hope this is just a rumor and it's not true. Again, I saw this. Some people say it, not some of my trusted sources, right? Um, and this was supposed to be the last race he was going to miss was Bristol, and I'm sure this is just kind of like the early, going into this week. It looks like he's going to have to miss more, kind of thing, and maybe he gets better next week and he's able to run at Dega. But if I'm Alex Bowman, I'm been out for a head injury, like vertigo. I don't want to come back for Talladega. I don't know about you guys, but just the possibility of getting in a nasty wreck, accident, and get in a bag wreck, get a concussion added on to it. It just does not sound like a recipe for success. And I think, you like you said, you had to prioritize your health rather than the ride. I mean, he's at this point, the season's pretty much over for the 48. There's no way of him getting back in the ride and then making the playoffs. It's just not going to happen. I said the playoffs, the chase. Unless he goes on a 2011 Tony Stewart tear and wins a bunch of races in a short span. But I don't know. But I just hope he gets healthy. Obviously, this was a prove it year. He's a free agent going into this year. I don't know what Hendrick does at this point. Like, could you really judge him off this head injury? But then at the same time, he's been injured multiple times in the last couple of years with the concussion he got at Texas. He got a back injury with a sprint car accident. I'm sure there's other injury I'm missing because he's missed a lot of time, and that's just something you don't see with a lot of drivers. And when you get a driver who does miss a lot of time and they're injury prone, it sucks, especially if you're Hendrick Motorsports, you're a premier team. You get a lot of sponsors on an ally, a big sponsor, a big sponsor that helps that team. You want to promote in the best way possible, putting the best driver in there. And what's the saying? Like the best person trait is availability and all that. There's that whole thing. And right now he's just not available. So we'll see what happens. Any thoughts on this one, Bunny?
Yeah, I mean, I hope Bowman can get back in the race car. Uh, with the vertigo and everything, that's something. It's something with your brain. I mean, I know that's putting it lightly and simply, but there's to me there's could be more. I'm not a medical person here, but just when you get into that area of the body, it's worrisome. I don't understand it. I will never understand it. But I'm really hoping that Bowman can come back from it. And like you was saying there when I hopped on, he is injury prone. But you cannot judge him from Hendrick's standpoint based on the injuries. Yeah, you're missing time. Drivers really don't miss time. It's not something that's been well known. It's not like you're a football player, a basketball player, something like that. You can battle through certain injuries and stuff, and we see that with Keselowski right now. And I don't think you can base it off of that. You have to base it off of performance. And with that being said, there's a couple of guys that they're looking to push. And there's people that's out there that's fighting for a ride that may be in a Toyota that they could bring up. There's other people out there I think can put that 48 team in a better situation. I've been very vocal on saying that Bowman needs out of the Hendrick ride. I still stand on that based on performance. But as far as his health and everything, he's got to get that under control. And it may be something that takes a year. It could be something that he never gets over. You never know. So, again, hope him well and hope that he gets better. But from a business standpoint, I think we have to move on.
Yeah, speaking of moving on, let's move on to the award ceremony. I start off first usually with these topics, so let's go right into the top shelf. Give me Williams to watch. Normally I'd go with a different driver here that won, but yeah, give me Williams to watch. It's his first career NASCAR win. He was there late. Him and his team had the best strategy there late, keeping him 4 tires. He had a fast car late in the race. When issues arose for other drivers, he pounced on it. He gets the win, his first one. Hey, it might be, might be the opening of the floodgates for him, and he can get a couple wins here. We'll see. But yeah, I'm gonna give my top shelf of the week to William Sawalich.
All right, so since obviously Aiden's not here, I'll go second. I'll take the low hanging fruit. Obviously, I'm gonna give me Corey Day or Corey. I keep saying Corey Day, Corey Heim. Okay, you can actually give it to both, honestly, but I'm gonna give it to Corey Heim because he ended up winning. I mean, again, there's not more that needs to be said about him. Tremendous talent, deserves to be in a Cup ride, if not battling for the O'Reilly Series championship, honestly, because I feel like if he was in that, he'd definitely be a contender. He might be right there with Jesse Love and Justin Allgaier because that's how good he is and that's how skilled he is. But obviously, he's not there, and he's obviously doing part-time starts in trucks, and the fact that he still is just this dominant, he's no longer obviously in that 11 truck, but again, he's with obviously a good team. I think he still is with Tricon Garage, and they still produce obviously tremendous trucks. And he's a tremendous talent, and he's obviously kicking everyone's butt no matter what. People say about him, maybe he's a truck series merchant and whatever, but we don't know that because he's never been in anything full-time other than the truck series. And, this is not even full-time. This is part-time, and he's even sparking debate whether he deserves to be in the playoffs or not, considering that he's in a condensed schedule and he's still leading the points. So, Corey Heim, salute to you, my man. Keep winning.
I'm going to keep it in the truck series here. I mean, you could go out and give it to Corey Day for the 2 wins, but somebody like Stuart Friesen pulling up a 4th place finish this week, especially after everything that he had going on last year, not knowing how much time he would miss due to the injuries and stuff that he had involved in the non-NASCAR affiliated race up in Canada. I don't remember what series that was, and Caden Honeycutt. He actually went into this race and didn't do a bonehead move trying to go out and take over Heim, press the issue. He seen what was at hand there, and I felt like he run a fairly smart race there in that situation. So to me, it was a veteran and a young guy. I think Honeycutt, we're going to be able to see him string along a few wins here. He's in probably the best ride in the truck series, and I think over time we're going to see those wins start to fall for him.
Good picks, guys. Now let's get over to the hangover of the week. For me, it's going to be an interesting one here. I'm going Tanner Gray. Corey Heim and Caden Honeycutt's teammate that was blocking them on that last lap. I mean, I get it. The spotters had an off week, so the majority of the spotters out there were not your primary spotter. But if you know the leaders are right behind you, get out of the way. Let them race for the win. And they're your teammates, both of them. And you just sat there right in the way. I mean, it was a great finish regardless, but I'm sure Caden Honeycutt was pissed. I mean, what are you doing? Like, get out of the way. Know where you are on track. Know what's going on in track. And come on. I mean, what are you doing?
Yeah, for me, I'm gonna give it to Sam Mayer. He had another did not finish this week, and I'm not the biggest guy. I'm not the biggest fan of Sam Mayer, in my opinion. I am also unbiased, because I don't have a favorite driver in any of these series. But I've been obviously watching NASCAR for several years now, especially for the O'Reilly series. For him, he's a veteran. He's supposed to be up there competing for wins, obviously in the top 5 in points, and he's not even doing that currently. He's had a lot of bad finishes so far to start the year, and Haas is switched over to Chevrolet now, and obviously everyone knows that Chevrolet is the dominant manufacturer in the O'Reilly series. It's the only manufacturer in the O'Reilly series. So, Sam Mayer, he has won races in the past, but this start to the year is not something that he's needed and something that he needs to turn around real quick because, sooner or later you're going to bury yourself. And I'm not saying he's going to miss the chase or anything like that because that car is too good to do that, and he's too good of a driver. But you want to start stacking some good finishes and get some momentum rolling, especially since you get into the summer months.
Before I go off on my tangent here, I am going to, in honor of Aiden missing this show my age and my stupidity here. So I pulled up for my rant to see where this guy finished and how many laps down. I seen the name Austin Green. And I swear to you, I looked over and I went, why in the hell is the guy from 90210 racing in the damn Xfinity series from like the 90s? And I pulled it up to make sure while you all was talking that I had the name right, and I did, but that's my idiocy for the week. But no, my hangover is, I didn't get to touch on this earlier, but it's Cletus McFarland and RCR. Guys, I know that we've talked about it and we've went on about it and everything else. In his practice, he was turning decent times. He was in practice. Goes into qualifying and lets out. And you see the video that's circling around with his crew chief and team members like, stay in it. You're supposed to be a professional race car driver and you bitched up and laid out of the throttle, qualified back in 30-something place, and run a qualifying lap in qualifying speed or trim worse than you did at practice. And you had probably one of the better lines of the week. RCR, I understand you're trying to get somebody in there in that Xfinity program that people like Jesse love. I get that, but he is not the star power for your program that you might have thought that he was going to be. You have Austin Hill, that is probably the biggest heel for your stable. And you got Cletus McFarland. He's going to bring eyes to your program. I understand that 100%. And we have said this, but he showed you all weekend long in his debut at Rockingham why he should not be in that series. Now, he did turn it around, and I will give him his flowers here, and run good in the ARCA race. He did. What, top 5, I believe? Top 10, I know. 6. So he was actually able to pull that one off. And maybe this will help him for the lower series, but I don't want to run into the guy at Bristol. I really don't. Love to meet him as a person, but you cannot blame Cletus. It's all about it's publicity and money is what it drives. He brings money to the table. I understand that. I can't be mad at Cletus for taking the opportunity, but I would not want to embarrass myself getting this opportunity with RCR without knowing I'm in the right place. I just have that much pride in things that I do. And for me personally, I need to be at that level to compete at that level.
A good take on the Cletus topic. I feel like, RCR probably came to him and was like, "Hey, we'll let you drive these races." I'm sure they wanted the promotion, the hype, the eyes you get with bringing a guy like Cletus, but he's just nowhere near ready for it yet. And it's not a bad thing that he's not ready. Like, we don't hate Cletus. We like Cletus. We'd like for him to be a part of NASCAR. He just has to do it the right way and learn. And I think, for what Zachary and I said earlier, what you kind of said just now, he just needs to learn in ARCA, sitting there for a while. I mean, race as much as you can in ARCA. Ride that 30 car as much as you can the rest of the season. Get the laps you need. Learn the car. And then slowly but surely work your way up. Now, I'm sure he doesn't want to do this as like NASCAR drivers, where they do this year in, year out, year in, year out. Maybe this might just be like a couple year thing. He runs the 500 and then he goes off in the sunset. I have a feeling it's something that he'll do. But if you want to do it the right way, learn it the right way, take your time. Don't just try to rush into it, because we're obviously seeing it's just not going to work out. All right. Normally, this is where we go to talk about picks, predictions, but we all did that last week. So we'll leave this to Zachary. Zachary has the guest the driver topic. This is my favorite segment of the week. I have 2 wins on this topic, right? Yeah, I got 2. Everyone else has got 0. So, guys, catch on up. 1, my bad, 2. I'm already thinking ahead.
Yeah. So we've done this twice now, and Rizzo got the last one. Obviously, I didn't have as many clues, but I have a decent amount of clues for this week. It is an old-time driver a little bit, not like in the 60s, but I said like he made his name in the 70s and early 80s especially. So let's get this thing going. So first clue. This driver was born in Wilkes County, North Carolina. Okay, second clue. This driver initially started as a taxi cab driver. And number 3, this driver got into a car for the first time because the initial driver of that car never showed up to race it. Number 4, this driver won a championship, but he only won 1 time during his championship season. He beat out David Pearson, who won 11 times. Number 5, this driver drove the 72 most of his career. Number 6, this driver helped discover the late, great Greg Biffle. Number 7, this driver appeared in the 1983 movie Stroke a Race. This driver is the winner of the 1975 Daytona 500. This driver also has a brother that also raced in NASCAR. And the final clue I got for you is this driver's nickname is the Professor. So y'all got any guesses?
I feel like I should know this.
I've got a lot of guesses.
You can have up to 3, is what I'll say.
No, this one's tough. I feel like I should know this one.
I think you do know him. Or at least you should.
Who did he
Ah,
beat out in the? Who won 11 times that year?
Yeah, so he won one time in his championship season, and he beat out David Pearson, who won 11 times.
If I
I want to
ask
say
you-
like Donnie Allison or something. I know that ain't right.
Is Donnie Allison one of your guesses?
Yeah.
That is not correct.
is it Bobby Allison?
That is not also not correct.
Dang, I was gonna ask a question like, is it one of the Allisons?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that definitely helps out a little bit.
I knew it
Oh.
wasn't Bobby. I went with Donnie because I couldn't remember what number he drove. Stroker Ace.
That's where the 72 got me. I'm like, the 72, I could see that.
Oh,
We're
so-
thinking too hard about this.
I also like avoided giving away like some of the easier answers too, or some of the easier clues to make it a little harder.
Oh
And
man,
he had a brother.
Yes.
the professor.
Yes. He also has another nickname, but I can't say that one. That'd be too easy.
Check the comments. Does the comments get it? I want to know if
Ricky
someone.
Bobby.
No.
Ricky Bobby. Oh man, is there any other hints you got?
I mean,
It wasn't a Labonte because that's a
No.
brother doer.
yeah, no, it's not.
The discovery of Biffle
Yeah.
I've heard
That's
this
the
story
one-
too.
not long ago.
Yeah. I thought it was Mark Martin that helped out with Greg Biffle. I swear I heard that.
I did too.
And I'm like, well, Mark Martin never won a championship.
It wasn't a Waltrip.
Mm.
No, definitely not.
It wasn't a Wallace because he was in the 27.
Yeah.
Wasn't a Labonte. It wasn't an Allison.
You
72.
guys
I feel
have
like-
you both have at least two more guesses.
I feel like the number should give it away, but it doesn't.
This guy I know like iconic sponsor, so that also doesn't help either.
I'm replying to the chat.
And I can give you guys one more clue, but I feel like it might give it away.
Oh, give us the clue.
This guy transitioned into being a pit reporter after his driving days were over.
Oh, does his brother still? Does his family still do NASCAR stuff?
Like his brother does some, but
Dr.
no one
Jerry
else.
Punch.
Yeah. No, it's not him.
Oh gosh.
Brett
I
Bodine. Todd Bodine.
Mm,
Jeff Bodine.
No.
Benny Parsons. Is it Benny Parsons?
Benny Parsons is correct.
Once you said fan, like I'm like brother. I'm like, and when you said pit reporter, I just thought of what's his name there, Parsons that used to do the truck series. I'm like, is it Benny Parsons?
Yeah. That'd be Phil. That used to do the trucks.
Phil Parsons. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
72.
trying to go down the road of brothers, and Bodine is where I went.
Dude, I had a name to start off, and I'm like, oh, Jeff Bodine, Brett Bodine. It's gonna be one of those guys. Like in my head, like I'm like, it's gonna be Brett Bodine or someone old way back when. And I was like dead set on that, and then I'm like, I just blanked. Then 72, I was just like, it's got to be someone I know.
Yeah, I try not to go like too farther. I probably will eventually, but I just didn't want to do that because I don't think you guys would have gotten it. Although maybe
Okay.
maybe that is the whole goal of this, is to hopefully stump you guys a little bit.
That got me.
You done good tonight.
That was a good one. Well, is there anything you guys want to add before we close up the show here and go into Bristol this weekend?
I'll be live from Bristol. It's like I said on Excessive BS earlier. I'm going to try to put out as much content as I possibly can, but still enjoy the weekend, enjoy the race. I will be at the Loyalty Lounge on Sunday. I will give that lineup of people that will be there. I'm really excited about it. Andrew Carlin will be the speaker, like the host. Ross Chastain will be there. Jerry Caldwell, John Roberts, Kenny Wallace. I've met Kenny a couple of times. Enjoy that. Todd Bodine, Cody Ware, and Ricky Stenthouse Jr. is the lineup for the Loyalty Lounge. So I'm really hoping that I can weasel my way in there, maybe get a conversation or whatever. I'm going to take my phone, and I got the 2 little portable mics for that one, so we can see if we can get a comment or two, see what happens, maybe find us a few things. But yeah, be live from Bristol. Hope to put out some content, so stay tuned.
Sounds really good about all that stuff. I'm looking forward to a show that we have in a couple of weeks. It's a topic, an event in a couple of weeks, and that is our NFL draft show that we're going to do. If you guys watch football, NFL, look forward to that. I know you're going to be watching the draft, but we have something special planned for the draft. But thank you all for tuning in every week, and especially this week. I know it's a short episode, didn't have much to talk about, but we're glad you still tuned in and listened and watched if you watched live. We'll be back next week, talk all things Bristol, and hopefully the new tire package they have performs better and we have a better race. Bunny will give us his inside expertise on Bristol since he will be there, and we'll get you all ready and prepared for Dega the week after. Thank you all for tuning in. I'm Michael Rizzo, joined with Zachary Kendall and Bunny. We'll see you guys next week on Moonshiners Racing, presented by Depot Street Sports.